Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android, Spotify, or the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Also, check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server, $2.99 per month. Link right here in the description. Our guy Adele just finished up a draft stage show. We got stage shows going there all the time. Also, 10 different channels, including draft transactions and more. You want to follow the latest. We take everything that's interesting from Twitter, any of the other IG, anywhere. We put it there so everybody can separate it and discuss it. Much easier, cleaner format than you'll find anywhere else, and it is the most dedicated group of Heat fans. Check it out. For the most Heat, it's Off the Floor. Also, Prize Picks, use the code 5, F-I-V-E, put down your $5, get 50 to play right away, legal in the state of Florida. And here's the deal. You also can play against us. The four hosts of Five on the Floor are currently competing in an NBA Finals competition. I'm first. I won't tell you who's last. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, five on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the Five Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at Five Reasons Sports. I got Alex Toledo. You can follow me at Tropical Blanket. I would tell you to follow this episode or that episode, but we've done so many episodes lately that honestly I can't remember any of them. So just go to the Five on the Floor feed, call it up, stream it from Spotify, play it at Apple Podcasts whenever they put it up there. It tends to be like a few hours later lately. And you can listen to everything that we've done before it all becomes obsolete. But we're continuing to talk about Kevin Durant. And I hate giving these updates because, again, I don't know that there's that much movement. There's just reporting. And by the time that we finish, it may be different. But the Heat are still in the mix. I'll just leave it at that. That hasn't changed. We talked Minnesota, San Antonio, Houston, dark horse team like Toronto. Miami is still in the mix. I still don't believe they're going to give up Khalil Ware, but who knows? But it's not my prediction that they ultimately would. But one of the things we want to talk about, I did a little list with Brady, the basketball fit, if they were to get Durant with the current roster. And he and I got into what it would look like with him playing with Bam, playing with Tyler, playing with maybe some of the other complementary parts who may be here or they might bring in. But there's also a style thing that comes with a star player that you bring in. And one of the things that was mentioned to me is when the Heat got Shaq, they knew what kind of player he was and how they would build out from it. And I say out from it because it was an inside-out, game that they were going to be playing. They kept Dwayne Wade, the player that they wanted to keep. They didn't have Karan, Lamar, Brian Grant anymore, but they had Shaq, and you could build an offense around Shaq. Forget the defense for a second, but you could build an offense around Shaq because Shaq at that stage, even though his numbers had dipped in the 03-04 season. The Lakers had gotten to the finals, but they got beat by Detroit. His numbers had dipped. He dipped from like 27 points down to 21 points that year. He'd had some injuries, but he still was a player who commanded a double. You threw the ball into him. Two guys had to go to him. And I remember Riley saying once, your offense is only as good as how many players on the team command the double team. And Shaq did. And ultimately, not that year, which was actually Shaq's better year in Miami, but the next year when Shaq was less effective in the 05-06 season, he still was effective into scaring the heck out of Avery Johnson, to the point that Avery Johnson kept sending doubles to Shaq during the entire finals while Dwayne Wade was averaging 34.7 points. Kevin Durant is not a throw the ball into KD and play off of him player. He's, at this stage, a jump shooter, one of the greatest jump shooters who's ever lived. And still is elite from every single area on the floor, Alex. We went through it. Like his percentage is better everywhere. You put the charts that they put up, there's no question he's still elite. But the thing about Durant is he's going to shoot it over you whether you like it or not. You can send doubles, but KD's great strength has always been his height along with the shooting ability and his ability also to get off his shot. Okay, and I'm doing this on the podcast on YouTube, but go backwards basically, okay? And, essentially the fallaways, the fadeaways, and nobody can touch him there. And so a lot of teams don't even send doubles because there's not even a point to send the double. You're not really going to distract him that much. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So I guess the question is, if you're bringing in a jump shooter, guy who doesn't get to the rim that often anymore, Alex, you've talked about the lack of rim pressure that this team has had for the past few years, right? KD still gets to the line, but not like Jimmy did when Jimmy was sort of at his best level, particularly in the playoffs. Are you really creating an offense that is going to create enough triggers playing off of KD that even though he's elite and Tyler is clearly an above average offensive player, that it will really lead to a great offense? Because last year, I know there were other factors involved, but playing with Devin Booker, and I guess to an extent Bradley Beal, although some Suns fans may not want to talk about that, the Suns finished 13th in offensive rating, right ahead of Detroit. I mean, for comparison, the Heat finished what, 21st? Yes, 21st. But they finished 13th. They were not a top 10 offense with Kevin Durant. Can the Heat craft a top 10 offense around Kevin Durant?
Honestly, my gut answer is I'm skeptical of that. Even with a guy like Kevin Durant and, the resume that he has and how good he still is, right? Like, for as much as he has declined as far as getting to the rim, you mentioned it, he does still get to the free throw line. And I think that's one thing that you can, feel good about if you're a Heat fan. Not as much as Jimmy, right? He doesn't just pound his way towards the free throw line, but because KD is such a, matchup nightmare in a general way, people still foul him, even though most of his shots end up coming from the perimeter nowadays. Like Tyler gets, got up twice as many shots at the rim as KD did last year per game, right? So, but when you look at the free throws, he still got him beat there. So I think that part of it, it's like, KD is not just always going to settle for bad shots early in the clock. He settles for shots that he knows he can take, right? And those are good shots that might not be good shots for others, but the point still stands. Like, it will improve their offense if they somehow land Durant. That's obviously not a hot take. But if they could, the Suns with Devin Booker, one of the best offensive players in the NBA, along with KD, couldn't craft a top 10 offense, like, that's, you know what I mean? It just makes me skeptical in the first place. But going back to the rim pressure thing, for as much as I love Davion, he can't be the only answer there, right? Like, I know Tyler will get there a little bit. KD will get there a little bit. The thing with Bam, right, moving on to him now, is they're not really using him in that way. They haven't used him in that way the past couple of seasons. He's a jump shooter. So unless they're going to reverse that now and be like, okay, Bam's going to be a guy who's attacking more than shooting, that I would like to see that, right? But I just don't know if that's enough to put together a good enough offense, right? And I think that's what the ultimate goal would be. It's like, okay, we know that we can put together an above average defense, right? Like, they've done it for years. I think at this point, it's about trying to get into that same stratosphere on offense, even if it's not elite, good enough. And you've got to be able to put something together that it's like, okay, this blueprint will be competitive in the playoffs, right? It's not something that can just be that can, where you can adjust and take guys out of their game, which is kind of what happened with Tyler, right? So I'm skeptical. Like, I think the offense will be much better if they trade for him, but I'm skeptical that it'll be good enough to get into that top 10. I just don't think they have enough guys who can get into the paint at will. And I feel like it's going to be a lot of KD and Tyler creating their own shot one-on-one. And I think down the stretch, teams will, we'll see some of the stuff that we've seen over the past couple of years where they'll help off of the Heat's like mediocre shooters and they'll just send the extra pressure. I think teams will live with that. I don't think they're always going to be in one-on-one situations and getting cozy shots. And I think when it matters most, if you're trying to project towards playoff basketball, they're going to help off of other guys. They're going to help off of Bam. They're going to help off of Ware if he's still there. A Highsmith, a Kyle Anderson, just in general, guys who aren't knockdown shooters. Like, they're just going to go over there and help. And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Tyler and KD, to just play fantastic basketball. I don't know if it's enough.
Have you put that stat in off the floor, by the way? Because I was not aware of that stat, that KD had half of the attempts at the rim,
I believe,
as compared to Tyler last year.
Right now.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I've never heard that before.
He put up 2.4 shots at the rim per 75 this past season, and I believe Tyler was 4.4. I was just looking at it.
Wow.
So about double.
Well, I mean that speaks to what, when I've had guests on from Phoenix, that speaks to what they've said based on eye tests, but that really drives it home. I mean, Tyler, they wanted him to be more aggressive getting to the rim this year. You know, the whole thing, avoid the mid range, avoid the floater threes and at the rim. But the fact that he had twice as many attempts.
But it's like a low bar, like the twice as many is cool, surprising, but it's a low bar at the same time.
But the fact that it's a low bar is concerning because it's a low bar, right? Because we're saying essentially KD is not getting to the rim very much.
Booker got to the free throw line a lot more than Tyler did too, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that's another thing that just makes me a little bit more skeptical. It's like, Booker is, I don't think it's a hot take, like for all the Tyler, for all the growth Tyler has gone through. I don't think it's a hot take to say Booker is still the better player, better playmaker, better at getting to the line. Like all those things are still true. And they still couldn't, get in there. I mean, it was a really weird season for them, right? Yeah. But still, I just think it's going to be the onus, even though like it's a huge talent upgrade for Spo. If they pull this off, it will still be on Spo to figure out something that will be able to play when things get tough. Because it's like, you can picture Tyler getting buckets, right? And it'll be nice to see Tyler as like a second option offensively, right? And Bam as a third. Like, that part of it sounds nice, and that's all good. Like if they bring Davion back, you've got something there, right? And I guess I see where the appeal is there as far as like, okay, that's a team that can be somewhat competitive, right? For all the doubts as far as whether it's a smart thing to do, trading young players and assets for a 37-year-old, there's something there. But how do you put it all together where it's not a clunky offense with Tyler and KD taking turns, taking jumpers? Because as good as they are at jump shooting, right? I'm not trying to make it sound like it's a bad thing. There has to be a balance too. And I think that's where the onus will be on Spo to find that.
Well, let me look at the free throw numbers here just to put this into context for folks. So since the season that KD missed because of the Achilles injury when he was 31, so this was coming off of his last season in Golden State. In Brooklyn, he 6.8 free throw attempts the first year, 7.4, 7.1, 7.3. Phoenix, it dipped to 6.0 during the very short period of time he played for them that year. So let's say 5.6, 5.8 the past 2 years. His career is 7.4. So for those who are remembering the guy in OKC, where, for instance, in the year that he played against the Heat in the finals, he averaged 9.3. And then 9.9 the next year. That is not the guy we've seen in recent years. He is essentially an elite jump shooter from every spot on the floor. You can always use one of those. But as far as putting teams into foul trouble, as far as creating those kind of triggers, it's not the same as getting a guy who's a high volume free throw guy, high volume at the rim guy. And I think that's kind of what we're getting to. It's not discouraging me from making the trade if the price is right. But I think I understand your point on this, that there's going to be some work to do to get them even into the top 15 in offense, I think, with the pieces that they still have around. And I think a lot of this is going to fall on Bam to be more aggressive and get to the line, because the fact that KD and Tyler, and I know we're shaking our head because we know we're going to talk about it all training camp and then it's not ultimately going to happen, but that is what should happen because he has the first step to get past guys. But
the whole point of this is so that he doesn't have to be aggressive.
Threes. No, but be aggressive in spots. Be aggressive in that space instead of just rolling up into that free throw jumper or taking more threes.
I know, but that's why I roll my eyes a little bit, and not because you're wrong. I'm with you in that sense. I'm with you, and then I think he's leaned a little bit too far into the jumper, even though we obviously know that he can make it. I'm with you in that. I roll my eyes because we've been not specifically at you, but just in general at like the Bam aggressive conversation, because it's taken on like 5 different forms since we started doing that all those years ago.
I get it. And before it was just taking shots,
but I'm very as the third option.
Alex, I'm very specific about this, and let's get to the Cash App thing in a second. But I'm specific about this, okay? If you have Kevin Durant and Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, as pretty as Bam's shooting form is, who do you want taking the jumpers?
Yeah, but the thing is, Bam is not going to be the one. Like, Bam is not a rim pressure creator. He's never done that, and they've never really empowered him in that role.
Put your head down. Put your head down and get to the line. He's capable of doing that.
I don't think it's just a button he can press. That he's just like, He's
Well, maybe
chosen
the
not to
KD
do it
button and the
before.
Tyler button in different areas of the floor where teams have to actually deal with somebody with KD's scoring ability will
For sure.
give Bam that extra little space to decide to go.
I mean, I'm with you.
Am
I would love to see it. I just it's hard to
am I
project it,
guaranteeing that's going to happen? No, I'm not
Yeah.
guaranteeing that's going to happen. It's probably going to be Rozier driving to the rim. Anyway, we want to talk about Cash App. I feel like I should send you all some money after suggesting that. Anyway, all of us at 5 on the Floor have Cash App. Why? It's the easiest way to send money, even for an old head like me. I'm not just delivering checks to people. I'm using Cash App, and you can too. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code on the floor. That's on the floor, like 5 on the floor. In your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you get $10 dropped right into your account, right in the bucket. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. And why should you do it? Because it feels safe. That's the first thing. They look out for you. If something seems sketchy, they think you might be sending money to a potential scammer. They'll warn you, make you think twice before you hit send. It's like having a personal bodyguard for your cash. And in addition to being safe, it's more personalized than the other apps out there. So you can, all the tools are right there to help you cash in. So check it out. Again, it's Cash App. Use the code on the floor. That's on the floor. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days. $10 drop right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Okay, so again, this is fluid. There's other questions about KD, which I'm likely going to do an episode with one of our hosts about availability, which I know is another Heat potential concern. And these are all reasons that they're not all in. Like they want the player. Spo wants to coach the player. I'm pretty clear on that. But it's a question of what you give up to get a player like this. But I'll ask this before I even get into this episode I'm going to do with Greg about what other options might be out there over the next year or so if you don't get KD. The type of player that commands the double consistently, okay, or plays inside the paint, like other than Giannis, like who are we talking? Like who out there would really? Well, I'll ask you this question: does KD, or let's say, I know Giannis at this point is considered a better player than KD at this stage of his career because he's 30 and KD is going to be 37. We can argue who's had the better career overall, okay? But at this stage, Giannis would be more attractive on the open market than KD would for those reasons. But part of it is because Giannis is also an elite defender at this stage. I don't think anybody's saying KD's an elite defender. I think he can still be a very good defender and has been when he's in the right system. But like, let's put it this way. If they had Giannis on this offense, a guy who can't really shoot like KD could shoot, would that actually, for like, if you had him, they're not going to get him, obviously. He's likely staying in Milwaukee, and they don't have the assets to get him anyway. But just hypothetically, if you had Giannis with Herro and Bam, would that offense create more problems for defenses, or would an offense with KD in there create more problems?
It like, I understand where you're going with this because I think it would be a weird fit initially with Giannis and Bam, but I do think I would still go Giannis there. I think he is just one of those guys where he gets to the paint at will, can finish at will, gets to the free throw line a whole lot, even if he doesn't make them half the time. But in all seriousness, I just think somebody like that, who is also a very good playmaker, not to mention what he brings on defense, he's still just, it's not just that he's the more impactful guy and that he's younger. It's that I just think you can't underestimate the amount of impact that his rim pressure brings to an offense. Because after that, it just kind of simplifies things. Like, of course, you want to have other options out there, but it simplifies the blueprint in the sense of like, oh, you put shooters around him, And I think that's where the KD thing is, like you're going inside out, whereas the KD Tyler Bam build, you're kind of going outside in, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I think my skepticism lies. Even though, I've kind of been sitting on the fence with this whole thing because I think it would be fun to watch KD here. You've mentioned it would be great for us for the downloads. But just in general, I'm just
for the downloads.
No, but just in general, I think what it comes down to for other people who have like already sold themselves on KD to the Heat and all that, it's just like, well, what are the other pathways here? Like, what are the alternate pathways? And then you're like, oh, they're not that exciting. Let's just go have fun and just bring the all-time great player here. But there's a lot of questions. There's no doubt. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of questions. I just think it's a matter of philosophy. It's like, is this good enough for you? If are you okay just being in the mix for the next couple of years?
Mm-hmm.
If you're okay with that, then I think the trade is probably worth it. But because of all these questions that we're talking about, with like is there going to be enough playmaking? Even though KD is still a good playmaker, is there going to be enough rim pressure? You know, are you going to be able to put together an offense that holds up in the playoffs? You know, even with all those questions, it's still like you're getting somebody of that caliber for a relatively low price compared to what other guys are getting just because he's 37. But for what he does still, even without the rim pressure, the value is not bad. Like in a vacuum, these trades we've been talking about are not bad. It's just like, should the Heat be doing this?
Right. That's the question. And I lean yes, unless they have to give up too much. And I lean yes in part because he's still the best at what he does. Like in terms of, it's hard to argue that. I mean, you're talking about, again, yes, 36, but just had the third highest scoring season for a player 36 or above, and he did it on elite efficiency. It's not like he did it by just chucking on a bad team. The team was not bad because of him. The team was bad, or Booker. The team was bad because of basically 3 through 12 and the coach and the mess that was created there. And honestly, he continued to produce even after the whole mess at the trade deadline where they threw his name in there when he didn't even want his name in there. So I don't have any question that getting into a more stable organization with a coach that he respects, with a co-star who he greatly likes, and Bam, who actually covers up whatever weaknesses he may have defensively as he ages, plus no state tax, plus the weather, plus everything else about Miami. He's owned a place down here, I believe, he's known to be around here. Like, there's a lot of reasons why this makes sense, and the diminished East. All of those things make sense. And yet I'm also trying to diminish expectations a little bit because he's not exactly what they need at this stage of where they are, I guess. And I think that's what you're getting at too. And then it becomes, okay, what are you giving up over the next that would develop into something over the next few years? I'm not saying Kel'el Ware is ever going to be anywhere near the player that Kevin Durant is, but is what you're getting in Kevin Durant going to get you over the edge right now? And that's why I am, and I know Heat fans don't like this when we do this, but I'm kind of hedging. You're kind of hedging. We're like, yes, we want to see it personally because Greg's got to do 41 podcasts off home games. I mean, you and I and Brady have to go, and we got to watch them. A team, if they bring back the same team that just lost by 92 points in the last 2
games. He's a good interview too. Honestly, that's it.
Oh, and that too, and even better than a good interview. Like literally, he will torch Heat Twitter, which is
worth trading all the picks for because he's a good interview.
Just crash and burn Heat Twitter. That's everybody doing the jersey swaps and all the rest of this. He'll get the hero stands versus the Bam stands. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Yeah, you know what? Just do it. I don't even care if they can't build the top 10 offense. All right, Alex, I appreciate it. We're selfish here. Check out the sponsors. Use On the Floor for Cash App. Sign up for Off the Floor. That's the Discord server. And then Prize Picks. Use the code 5FIVE. Alex, because you're going to post this right away, I guess, before tonight's game. Are you coming back? Right now, the standings are in Prize Picks are. I'm at $105. Right? Greg's at 82.50. Brady's at 50, and you're at 8. Is that right? Or is it 18?
No. Whoa. Give me some credit here. I'm at 22.
Oh, 22. I'm sorry. That's good. Jimmy's old number. It's fine. We'll retire it. All right. Well, you got to go all in tonight anyway. All right. Prize Picks. Use the code 5FIVE. I'm not going to let you get back in on that. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.